What's up, guys? We are back after a long hiatus. We're not quite through the winter yet, but we are through our hibernation period, you might say. Rodney brought a human into the world.
Nope, my wife did. I want to be very clear about that. My wife did. I was there. I tried to be helpful, but yeah, we welcomed a new baby, and so things are a little too chaotic to be playing board games, let alone doing videos about board games.
But she's all grown up now.
That's right.
And
that's
we're
right.
ready to crack on.
Starts her part-time job tomorrow. That'd be great. No, before we took our little hiatus, we had a really cool opportunity come up that we're very excited for. We said from the beginning of this channel that we only want to go until we get something sent to us for free, specifically a review copy. That when we get a review copy, it's all over. We'll pack it all up. Maybe we'll do one final video in like tuxedos to really celebrate the moment.
And maybe you guys had that thought. Maybe you thought we had gotten the review copy and we had packed it up.
Right. Sorry, Nick, if that is what you thought after you so kindly sent us over 3 review copies. So Nick Murray from Bitewing Games, a really cool indie publisher on the rise, sent us over the Criminal Capers series. And the reason I want to do this review and get it out right now is because what Bitewing is really focused on right now is their Kickstarter campaign for Vadis. And the connection I see here is Vadis. If you don't know anything about it, we'll talk a little bit more about it on some upcoming, videos and pods. But Vadis is an old Reiner Knizia design,
1992
Quo Vadis, that is being kind of dusted off, rethemed, basically brought into the 21st century.
Yeah.
And these are 3 Reiner Knizia designs that Bitewing Games has done something similar with. Some games that really flew under the radar. I think these are all re-implementations. There might be a new design in here, but these were other games. They have very funny names, and
they've also been animalized.
They've been animalized because that seems like a big deal for the dentists over at Bitewing. But if you're thinking to yourself, you know about Vadis or you don't, now you're looking into it. Is this for me? I don't know. Is it going to be? What's it going to be? Well, we want you to know that Nick and the folks at Bitewing Games, they've done this before. They've dusted off the Knizia classics, or not classics, maybe the lesser-known Knizias, given them a new theme. And we're going to show you what our experience was like, what we think about it. Maybe that impacts your desire to go and pick these up. Maybe it impacts your desire to check out the Kickstarter campaign for Vadis. But let's get into it. Let's talk about these games.
We're going to start off by talking about Soda Smugglers, which is a game that is really an introduction to the bluffing mechanic. Maybe a little bit.
Connor doesn't want to brag. You don't want to brag. Connor's something of a Soda Smugglers expert. He really poured into this third of our review process. So
I did. I took this game to a game night with some old college and church friends who are not heavy gamers by any means, are more social gamers. We played at the full player count. I think you can play 3 to 8, maybe not. Yeah, 3 to 8. We played at 8. It was a smash hit again.
What's the general idea of what you're doing in this game?
The general idea of Soda Smugglers is it is 1 inspector versus 7 or fewer smugglers who are attempting to smuggle the most soda. It's been criminalized to over smuggle soda, and so you're trying to get the most through state lines. Is the most you can take over the line is 6. You're trying to bribe your way across these borders and not get caught and smuggle the most soda. It's pretty much that simple.
Yeah, so looking at this, I got 1 play in at like 4 players. I definitely have less experience with this game. You've got a little bit more. I'll say quickly that my favorite part of Soda Smugglers is kind of my favorite part of any bluffing game, any game where bluffing is the key mechanic, which is when the thing that everyone thought was going to happen, the cards get revealed, and that was not what happened, right? The guy that you're like, oh, well, we better, inspect him. I think he's got a lot of stuff in there, and then he's got, 1 soda can or bottle, and it's just like, whoa, and the table having this reaction to it, and there being laughter and things like that. That might be bluffing, maybe in general, if you know Sheriff of Nottingham or games like that, but it definitely happened here too.
Yeah, my favorite part of Soda Smugglers is definitely the social element. I would recommend playing with a group of people that you know at least somewhat well, or have
Not an icebreaker game?
I mean, it could definitely be an icebreaker, personality showing type game.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I see you. I don't know you very well, but I can tell you're cheeky.
You're cheeky. Yeah.
But
We're British now.
we had one guy in our group. His name's Evan, and he's known for just kind of being this clown of a dude. And he was getting inspected every time because he was being really suspicious, and he would have like nothing in his suitcases. So that social part of it was playing into it heavily. We were like, "It's Evan, we got to get him every time," and he was just kind of sitting there shrugging because he had no soda in his briefcase a lot of times actually. So the social element of it was super fun. So it could be an icebreaker game, or it can be a game for longtime friends.
Okay, nice.
All right, we want to move on to talk about your third that you're maybe the expert in, Hot Lead.
Well, I am an expert in Hot Lead, and I'll tell you about it because these two, Pumafiosi and Hot Lead, made their rounds for me during the holiday season.
Yeah.
And my wife my wife likes games. She has her games that she's more interested in. My wife was asking to play Hot Lead when we weren't playing games.
Wow.
Like, hey, can we go play that game? Does it play well at 2? Does it, when can we play it again? And so I got a lot of this in. I got it at, I think, every player count. It does 2 to 5. I think I've done it at every player count. What you're essentially doing in Hot Lead is, I've called it kind of, and this is a stretch, I've called it Ra Light. Ra is my favorite board game of all time. Also happens to be Reiner Knizia. But in Ra, you are auctioning off these sets of tiles that you're trying to collect in a certain way, but you're also giving opportunities to push your luck. And you could almost describe Hot Lead that same way. Auction is a stretch. You got these cards 1 to 55, and everyone's flipping over their card for that round at the same time. And the person with the highest card has to take the top criminal activity.
Yeah.
They're just different cards. They've got points on. But, the highest card is going to take the top scoring card. Mm-hmm. The second highest card is going to take the second highest scoring card. And when I say highest, they just get put out randomly. And so the auction of it is a little bit loose, but you are collecting sets. You want to get the different colors, ideally. You really want to get 3 of each color. That would be awesome because you get mega points for that. But if you ever get 4 of a certain color, you wipe all of that color.
Yeah.
Which happened to both of us with the same color and the same round in the game we just played.
Yeah.
And it's got that tense quality to it where, and if the flop, so to speak, if the scoring cards come out, you might know, oh man, I'm in trouble.
Probably my favorite part of Hot Lead is the press your luck element of it, and kind of the tense nature of just flipping those cards over. It was such a fast, usually tense, the tense nature of a game is coincides with it being long.
Yeah,
this was also
people
literally 5
are
minutes.
Experiencing the tension, and that's making things take longer. But yeah, this game's fast. Of the 3, by far, Hot Lead. If you're looking for a game that you want to just get on the table and get done in 15 minutes,
easy to teach, quick to play,
all of the above.
Yeah.
My favorite part of Hot Lead is all the cards that exist in the game for that. Like I said, that auction process are cards numbered in a deck 1 to 55. And so you'll have these moments where you're thinking to yourself, okay, I really want the bottom scoring card, the last one that came out. I'm going to put like a 6 because, well, come on, like 1 to 55, 6, that's really low. Let me do that. I'll be guaranteed to get one of those bottom cards, just to have your opponents put 4, 3, and 1, and because they're out there too, right? Mm-hmm. They're out there somewhere, and so those little moments where it feels like
what you expect to happen is not what happens.
No, I guess that's what I like.
Got
about
a
games.
theme going,
but it can make it feel a little bit random. This is not a game to play if you're trying to like show people how smart you are and how good you are at games. It'll do crazy, wacky stuff to you and ruin your strategy. But yes, it will give you that fun and that kind of like, are you kidding me? I put a 6 down and I'm taking the top card. Yeah. That's insane.
It does a good job of balancing the randomness with like some light strategy though too, and it not being super punishing. Speaking of 1 to 55.
Yeah.
That is also a common element in Pumafiosi. You played it before I did. You showed it to me.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what Pumafiosi is, and we can break it down.
Pumafiosi is 3 rounds. This is a trick-taking game. Okay, there's a number of them out there that are very popular. Tichu, The Crew, Fox in the Forest, just to name a few. What the trick is, right? a trick is, one round basically of everyone putting out cards.
Mm-hmm.
And in most cases, in most trick taking games, whoever has the highest card or the best card is going to win that trick, meaning take all those cards back. In Pumafiosi, you want to be the second highest, which always adds this little brain wrinkle where you're like, oh, wait, no, I want a high card, which we'll explain in a minute, but I don't want too high of a card because I don't want the highest card, right? So there's, I think of the game almost existing in two halves. You've got the trick taking, and then whoever has won the trick
is the card that you won the trick with is going to go into this row, this lineup, you might say, of points on cards. Mm-hmm. So you're going to put your card down. Let's say you won the trick with a 45. So the point cards are numbered 10 down to -3. Is that right? I think
it's -3.
So they're numbered 10 down to -3. You might feel really good about your 45 card, so you slot it into maybe the 9-point spot because it's pretty high, but it could still get bumped. And what I mean by bumping is if a higher card is ever put out into one of those spots, your card will get bumped and you'll lose a point for that happening. Negative points are bad. You don't want them.
Yeah, in this game. They are bad. No, yeah, it's a little bit of we'll talk about theme in a minute, but it's kind of like you're taking too big a seat at the table, right? Mm-hmm. You're thinking you're at the top seat at the table, and you got people coming in and pushing you down, and you're
I love that. I didn't even realize
it's a little bit like you're feeling shame, which
you overstepped.
Anytime you can feel shame in a board game night, I encourage
you. Say that's good. We give a thumbs up to shame at board
That's
game
right.
nights.
That's us. What would be for you, Pumafiosi? What was kind of like your favorite?
Yeah, I love the thematic pieces of Pumafiosi. I love the theme of all of these, and we'll talk about that a little more in a second. But the theme being integrated into the mechanics, where what you just said, you took too big of a seat at the table. I hadn't even made that connection, but that makes so much sense. Like you thought
I've
you were the boss.
I've done that a bunch of times in my life. So
in real life at dinner,
the trauma just kind of
the shame.
Yeah.
So I hadn't even made that connection, but it really makes sense. Like you thought you were the big dog, but turns out the big cat. Sorry, you thought you were the big cat, and turns out you're not. And so you lose points, you lose cred there, and also the wanting to be second, not wanting to have the most crime in your wake. You want to fly under the radar a little bit, but still be fearsome enough that you're a well-known mafia boss.
My favorite part in this game is not even so much when you win, it's when you can't win the trick, but you can decide who does. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're the last person to go, and you're kind of like, well, I've got this card that'll make him win, I got this card that'll make her win, so let me, and maybe I'm looking out at the perfect information out there on the board for scoring, and I'm kind of like, oh, well, I definitely don't want, them to take it with this card. And so the idea that your card will often matter even when you're not the winner, I think that's always engaging and interesting, and this game does that.
Yeah, so, I agree.
So that's a rundown of these three games, and we'll get to at the end. We'll kind of talk about our review, or our rating of them, and what we think, and that's what we're here for. But just talking about these in general, I wanted to say one thing about this is, Bitewing is an indie publisher, and with an indie publisher, you're going to get the indie love, right? This is not a mass market, cheaply made type of thing, but you're also going to get indie prices. And what I mean by that is because it's not mass produced, right? It's not being able to be made as, shall we say,
quickly or in such mass
I was just
quantities.
Trying not to say cheaply, right?
Sure.
It's not getting made as cheaply, and so the price has to reflect that a little bit.
What you were just saying is it's not made cheaply, therefore it's not cheap. And that's a fair justification. When
I say cheap, we're talking about each of these games being $25. But if you want all three of these games, that means you're looking at about $75. That's a hunk of money, right? Mm-hmm. And if you play these games, especially these top two, we would say Soda Smugglers and Hot Lead, you'd be left with an impression of, oh man, I want to look this game up, maybe buy it for myself. I hope it's about $15. If you're used to the board game world and stuff, you might look at this and balk a little bit and say, well, what else is in the game? By the way, there is other stuff in the game.
Yeah.
We didn't mention some, special cards and hot leads. Some we talked about. We will talk maybe a little bit about like these event cards and Soda Smugglers and stuff. They give you some different ways to play the games. But I will say the top two especially, you might walk away from that thinking this is probably a $15 game. There are also deluxe versions where you got like I think they're wooden bottle caps, or they might be acrylic. You know, I know they're wooden stars for hot lead, and that'll cost you about $5 more. We're not saying you'll break the bank for these games, but what we're saying is, you know, if you're familiar with board games, you're going to think one price. It's going to be maybe the next little mini tier up.
Again, what you think is going to happen is not what happens.
That's these games, right? But Connor, I mean, show them the little flappy do.
I mean, love this.
We got a little magnetic
clasp. So first of all, I mean, in addition to that, like the components are really nice. There's this really great box art that is true of all three of these games.
So you have a magnetic clasp. You have artwork in places that they didn't need to put artwork, right? The inside of the box lid. And can you just talk about the artwork? The artwork is a factor. It's a bullet point.
It's a huge factor, and it's like a golden thread in the games. Like they all have this same style. Like I said, they're all animalized. There's even this little Easter egg of the soda smuggling showing up in the other games. So we've got this puma from Pumafiosi, and we'll zoom in on this. He's got this green bottle of soda exactly like he has on the front here. And that might not mean much to you, but I loved that so much, and it gave me this like almost heartfelt feeling of like, I want that. I want to have it.
We are big fans of the Nick Murray cinematic universe, all the crossovers,
the NMCU,
all of it. That's it. The NMCU. We're big on it.
Mm-hmm.
What I love too about the artwork, it's I don't even know how to describe it. It's cartoony, but it's also it's fun and it's funny.
Somehow
and
it's serious.
It's
and
absurd
comedic at the same time.
But serious does come across. There's absolutely this like coked out kind of like Chihuahua. I mean, it's a puma, but in Pumafiosi, he's just the craziest looking thing. And honestly, okay, the smuggling of soda bottles is pretty tame, but like there's like knives on the box and stuff. Like these are doing the crime theme. Like they're doing it
justice.
That's right. They're doing it right. But they're doing it in a cartoony way. But also they're actually doing it, and it works, man. And the thought I had on the art is, you know, not me, but other people actually pay money for art.
Right.
And not art that you can open up, take the components out of the box and play a wonderful game. Just art, right? And I thought about this with these three games is, you know, I get to display this really cool thing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not for everyone, but it's definitely for me.
It's worth a lot.
If all of my games looked like the gift series, great games, but my God, pal.
A little bland. Use some seasoning.
You know what I mean? And so the illustrator, we're going to take a stab here, Paul Halkyon. I don't know him from any other games. Maybe he's a dentist too. I don't know.
But he did a dang good job.
He did an awesome job. Bitewing brought him to us, right? Yeah. And his art style, and we're glad he did. It's a really big part of this experience.
Yeah, and we mentioned it before with really all three of the games. These are social games. These are social experiences. They're great for friends that you've known forever, and they're also great as introductory icebreaker type games. You're paying for the full experience of this game, not just what literally comes in the box or what you literally play. You're paying for what it looks like and what it feels like too.
Yeah, absolutely. So the time has come. We gotta figure out. We're obsessed with 6 here. We do our top 6 lists. We're all about it. And so we're going to rate each of these games on a scale of 0 to 6 bottle caps. Okay? Because those are points after all.
Yes.
0 to 6 bottle caps.
Let's start with Soda Smugglers.
Let's start with Soda Smugglers. I'm going to go first because
go for it.
I want to hear yours. I want you to round it out.
An emotional
yes.
appeal to it.
I will say that for me, I'll say a 3. It's the one for me that I've played the least, but I felt like I got what it was, and I just don't know that I would be pining for another play of it, or you know, it would be the kind of social game that I would want to pull out. What I do appreciate about it is that higher player count than the other two have.
That's a big part of the reason that I'm going to give it 5 bottle caps.
Mike.
5 out of 6. My first plays of it were amazing, a lot of fun, big moments. You and I played it with 4, and it wasn't as exciting, but that didn't seem to sully it for me at all, which was evidence for me that I really, really loved it and wanted to play it more, actually. It's fun. It's social. The theme is invoked really well. It's a simple game, but not at the cost of simple fun, I guess. And
I like that.
It's a 5 out of 6. Maybe an undeserved 5 because a lot of that is my emotional connection to my friend group. But it's a 5 out of 6 bottle cap.
I won't allow you to say undeserved because that's what we love about games.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but not every game can cultivate that or create
Right.
that social experience that's memorable and that brings your friends together. And that, as you said, I brought a bunch of games to play. We ended up just playing that one. Not every game does that. So
yeah,
I don't have that same shared experience. You do. It should factor into your rating.
I'm going to jump right in to do Hot Lead next because I didn't have the same experience that you had where Riley was literally pulling you aside saying, can we go play Hot Lead right now, please? I'll give it a 4. I'll give it a 4 out of 6. I enjoyed it enough, and I've got the I've got what Riley had. Like, can we go play it?
Yeah.
So what's your rating for Hot Lead?
I'm going to give it a 4 too. And by the way, like, we only have 6 bottle caps to choose from, 4, that's, again, there's not meant disrespect by this. Mm-hmm. I say 4 because it is, to me, probably the lightest of the 3, which isn't a bad thing. It's part of its charm. I played this with 8-year-olds and actually got to play it. Like, not like, oh, we're doing this thing. Mm-hmm. And I like that. I'm glad for that. I have 8-year-old nephews in my life, and so I'd rather play this than Chutes and Ladders. So, but I can. But I think as time goes on, I don't know that this game will give you much like new to tread on. You might kind of find every round's different. You're gonna have those moments, but as you keep going, you're gonna find out those moments are limited. So I can't give it too much. But man, set collection, push your luck. That's always gonna have tension attached to it. It's so just straightforward and like you said, easy to get to the table, play quick. Love it.
Yeah. Give me your rating for Pumafiosi because you played it before I did, but then we played it together. I think we had a lot of fun playing it and we're really intrigued by it. So I'm curious to hear what your rating is for it.
Okay, do we only use bottle caps for these 3 games?
Oh yeah, no. I was gonna give the caveat when I give my answer. Like this might sound crazy, but I'm rating this based on what these are. And that's why we use the bottle cap rating system. Because I think I know what you're about to say, and I'm probably gonna share that.
I wouldn't rate Ra, as I said, my favorite game, in bottle caps.
No.
That sounds crazy.
Insane.
I would rate it in like famines and floods.
And pharaohs.
That's right. Then 6.
6 out of 6.
It's 6. That's... For this scale of these games, which we said they're smaller games, that Pumafiosi, I would say if you're only gonna get one, well, it's tough. If you're only going to get one and blank, then it's going to be Soda Smugglers. Fill in the blank. If you're only going to get one and you want that one to...
Yeah, if you're only going to get one and you want it to be primarily a social experience, you should buy Soda Smugglers.
If you're only going to get one and you want it to have a very low rules overhead and get played and just be boom, 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 here we are, we did it, you're going to get Hot Lead.
And if you're only going to get one and you want a complex trick taker in a small box that's fun, easy to teach, and doesn't sacrifice any of the intriguing factor that a small game might, you should get Pumafiosi.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think that's it. So
awesome.
These games do fill niches. I'm not as familiar with the original Knizia designs, but Knizia has a lot of area control games. He's kind of got his own separate card game, mastermind stuff.
Universe.
These feel like Knizia designs where you're just like, oh, that's clever, man. That's such a good.
Yeah.
And so thank you to Bitewing Games for giving us the opportunity to look these over and honestly to play them with friends and to show them. I know I have at least one other person who went out and bought one as well after playing it. And so it's really awesome. So that's the Criminal Capers series.
Yeah, check them out over at bitewinggames.com.
That's right.
Sweet.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.